I played college basketball for 7 years, and this is the hip routine that I would do every single morning to free up my hips and just make me feel more of an athlete. When you're training so much and playing on the court or playing soccer or whatever sport you may be doing, your body's constantly gaining more and more pressure, more compact, and all you gotta do is make sure that you have a proper mobility routine to break out of that chain. Because if you stay in that chain, just injuries happen and you can't play the sport that you love. I'm at a point now where I hurt my hip pretty badly, and it's because I didn't stretch enough. I should have been stretching a lot more as I got more and more into my playing career. So I just want to make sure that doesn't happen to anyone watching this as well. Hip routine we start with. And you might think, wait, this is kind of weird. I always start with ankles. And there's a very specific reason why I do this. If you think about, like, I did physiotherapy for school, so I have an understanding of this, but if I train my ankles and they have more mobility, that frees up these joints to have a lot more space. So basically, if my hips are really locked up, my knees are really locked up, and my ankles locked up, this thing's not gonna be able to move as a unit. But if I have a lot of ankle mobility, that's gonna free up my hip to do a lot more work. So what I always start with is basically a downward dog, where I'm trying to get that ankle dorsiflexion. Dorsiflexion is where my toe tries to get closer to my knee. And if I can just go rock back and forth as my first exercise, not only am I in a position that's strengthening my shoulders too, like there's a lot of benefits to this, but I'm getting more range of motion in my ankles, so that in turn it can help my knee and my hip support. From this position, all I'm gonna do is just get into the downward dog. And I rock between these two. This is the first exercise. I combine going back and forth with my calves into a downward dog. All this is doing is a little bit of spine hyperflexion, because if I can get, or extension, because if I can get into this position, it enables my lower back to release a little bit more, my upper back to have a little bit more mobility. And once again, everything's a chain. So if I have stuff really loose above my hips and below my hips are gonna be a lot more open. As soon as I'm done that one, I get always into, I can only do it on one side right now, the demo, but I call it SpiderMan. I'm gonna bring my foot right beside my hand like this. This is also called the world's greatest stretch. But all this is doing is releasing a lot of the tension in my hip. I'm gonna be in this position. Back knee has to be off the ground. All I'm gonna do is rock forward with that knee over the toe, and then back, forward and back. And what this is doing is releasing a lot of the tension in my hamstrings, as well as the internal rotators of my hip. If I can get this back and forth for 10 reps, eventually it's gonna feel a lot looser. If you can't get to this position, it's okay to be here, as long as you can make sure that you rock back and forth. But ideally you wanna be right beside your hands. Next piece I do is I go with my inside hand on the inside of my knee and I push it away from my body. What this is doing is stretching a little bit of the adductors while I'm in this position, back and forth. So we started with calf raise, or calf stretch, along with downward dog. We did the SpiderMan, and then we're pushing it outwards. The next one that I always rock into is a pigeon stretch. So I'm gonna be in this position again. Everything's super close together because I wanna make sure that I can rock this out in like 3-4 minutes. Pigeon stretch, I bring that leg through, kind of like a 4. And all I'm gonna do is make sure that this hip's not on the ground, and I'm gonna turn into, imagine my leg here and my hips are like an angle. All I'm trying to do is close that angle. So I'm gonna try and close it. All I'm gonna do is feel it in this front hip. The tension on this hip is crazy because what I'm doing is externally rotating my femur in my hip socket. Sit in this position, or you can raise up, back and forth like this. And all this is doing some thoracic rotation. Thoracic rotation is just a fancy word for upper back mobility. So when I go like this, obviously my spine is turning because my hips are staying in the same spot. So I go calves, I then go SpiderMan, then I go pigeon, and then the last one that I do is a deep squat with my butt raised. So all it's gonna look like, I can't do it too well right now, but I'm gonna squat down as low as I can. My heels should stay on the ground, and then I'm gonna stand up with my hands on the ground. So squat down, hands up, squat down, hands up. Getting into that position is a lot of external rotation for the femur. And external rotation is something really important for hoopers because think about if I'm playing basketball or doing any sport and I explode out, all I'm doing is my leg is turning inwards. When I do squats and stuff that stretches in that squat position, it's turning it outwards. So we're just counteracting that.
how long should someone ideally get through all these stretches?
5 minutes max.
Yeah.
So once again, we got the calves, we got the downward dog. Those are together. That's 1. We got the SpiderMan stretch. That's number 2, where you rock back and forth and then you also push it out. That's 2. Number 3, we got that pigeon stretch where you bring the leg through. Number 4, we got that deep squat, raise your butt up, touch the ground. That's 4. And then the last one that I like to do can just be additional and you can add it in. If you have a band, this is one of the best things you can do. It's called distraction. So I'm going to attach it to something that's not going to move. Wrap it around like that. All I'm going to do is bring my hip through. And this is my bad hip right now, so I actually need this. Bring it up as high as I can on my hip. Pull it out so there's tension. And then I'm going to sit in that pigeon stretch. And what this is doing is pulling my femur and my leg bone out of my hip and just give me that much more range of motion. I can just sit in this position for 20 to 30 seconds, and as soon as I'm out of it, I'm gonna feel like I have so much more motion. Usually I can't go into this position. Touch my nose to it. That's my usual test to see if my hip's doing okay. Touch my nose to my knee. But that just made it feel better after 5 seconds. Number 5, optional if you have a band.
So basically, like, everyone should spend about a minute to a minute and a half kind of on each thing.
Yeah, like it's 10 reps or 20 seconds, 20 to 30 seconds.
And then
You shouldn't be doing any more than that because if you stay consistent enough, your body should be in a position where it's mobile enough to do all these things.
should they do this before or after? Like training?
I recommend doing it before. I wake up and usually do it. When I was doing my 7 years of college basketball, I was doing it every morning before I woke up. I would also do it right before practice, so usually like 2 times a day. And then if you feel really sore before you go to sleep, you could also do it. Because that's one thing that people don't think about. It's like they do like a crazy workout, crazy basketball workout right before they go to sleep. And they go to sleep when their body's all compact and like tired from that movement. If you're able to do a little bit of stretching before you go to sleep and get your body more in that relaxed, decompressed state, so much better for you long term. Yeah, so once again, those are 5 exercises, 4 kind of mandatory, 1 optional one that you can do. I've been doing them for a long time, and I can tell you, like, they help so much. Like, I would do so much weight conditioning. I would do like 3-4 practices a day, and that's the stuff that kept me alive, away from injuries, all those different things. Saved me from ankle injuries, all these different aspects, just because you spent 5 minutes a day taking care of yourself. So hopefully that helps. Let me know if you have any questions down below.